Hi, it's Lisa again. We're going to be creating our March part of the calendar. So there was January's, so plant your dreams, like New Year's Eve, you plant your dreams in January. We also then did February, and this was discovering moments. So I wanted to remind myself that February can be all about discovery as well. And not just a miserable cold month. So we have our March. So as you know, if you watch my videos, I've already cut that out and done my Sharpie line around the edge. So we're going to do something a little bit different. So I shall put that to one side. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a background just with a distress oxide. So this one's called Gathered Twigs. And we are going to brayer this onto our card using a brayer. So this brayer I've got is a speedball brayer. There are lots of other brayers out there. This I've got sort of like a bit of a cracked look on here. I think I need to get a different brayer as well to do other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Gathered Twigs, just move that to the side, and I'm going to make sure that my brayer is nice and covered, as you can see. So we'll just make sure we get it covered. I'm not worrying about any gaps, I just want it to be really organic. And I'm going to do it this way, so even though my picture is going to go this way, my image, I'm going to do it this way so any lines will go across, because I want it to be quite earthy and quite vintage looking. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to just brayer over, just flicking it up at either end, and I'm not too worried about it being too dark because a lot of the stamping I'm going to do on other card, and then I'm going to come around the other side. Okay, making sure it's covered again, come off and then roll on, because I want this bit to be slightly lighter. Pick up some more off of my mat and have it slightly lighter along the edge. I'm going to do that again, so making sure that I've got plenty of colour on there, and come off my mat to begin with and then go across. And as you can see, I've got some finger marks on there, but that's okay, they were probably finger marks, grease marks left when I did it, cut the card and everything, so it will pick up. And I'm not very worried about this line across here, as I want it to be pretty organic. So I'm going to put my lid on. I'm going to take my, you see how much was on there, and I could have carried on and carried on blending and blending and blending, but I'm going to leave it like that because I wanted it to be pretty organic. And when I store this, I store this way round so I don't get an indent or a line all the way round on my brayer, because it will show up. Now you can see I've got some fingerprints there. Now they're not from my fingers at the moment, but they are from the grease marks probably I left on the card to begin with. I'm going to give my hands a little bit of a wipe and use my giraffe cloth that I've got my little giraffes on. So it's an old t-shirt, so it doesn't leave lint marks all over. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my line brush. So it looks like that. I'm going to put it in water, tap some off, and then I'm going to just flick. I'm not worried about the size of the marks that this is going to leave behind, and it's going to leave out some white marks, so it's like it is bleached. Tap it off. Okay, and I'm going to just leave that for a couple of seconds so that it reacts with the ink, and then I'm going to blot it off and show you. So what I decided to do today was a theme where March, we're just waiting for spring to start, waiting for flowers to bloom. So I've got this that we're going to stamp and watercolour, and I've also got this lady or gentleman here with some wings, and I'm going to stamp those as well and emboss those straight onto the card. So I'm not going to use a heat tool, and I think I'm probably okay with that. And as you can see, it doesn't really matter because of the grease marks or because of the lines, because it's very organic. Dry underneath there, and there's some lovely bleached out marks there, and it looks very earthy, which is what I wanted. So I'm just going to put that to one side to dry. So what I have got is some card. This is very smooth card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp her or him onto the card to fussy cut. So I've got some black Nocturne Versifying Clair, and I'm going to move my card because I don't want to get anything on it. I thought I had a hair on there. Yes, I do, a bit of fluff. So I'm just going to do some little tapping here so that that can have plenty of ink on it, and then I'm going to pop it there and get some copy paper, which I've always got spare and used copy paper, just as a pad like this. And then I'm going to take her and I'm going to just press down really well on the card so that she is printed or stamped beautifully. So I just realised I was off shot, sorry about that. So these blocks, I did say I was going to get some flexible blocks, so I'm glad that I have. Picks up a lot of detail. And then I'm going to pick her up, and there she is. Okay, I'm going to give that a blot, and she will be cut out to decoupage on the top. Okay, so that's her, and I'm also going to stamp. I think I might have to get a bigger bit of card. Yeah, just slightly bigger. Let's have a look. Get some more card. There we go, that will be fine. I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to take my Nocturne, make sure that it's all over my stamp. So it just stamps beautifully, and then I'm going to pop that on the card like that at an angle, because I'm going to cut this out as well. Okay, so there we go, lifting it up as well to make sure that it's all got the pressure on it properly, so it's all there and beautifully stamped like so. So there you have it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm going to do, so I know exactly where I'm going to be placing these, because I'm going to decoupage them, and that means to cut them out. Let's just move that onto one side. So I'm going to stamp this onto our lovely background, just so I can get the little background bits and pieces there, like that. Now this card isn't quite dry, so I don't mind so much, because I'm going to be decoupaging this on the top, and I'm going to position that almost centrally there, like that. So what this will do is when I colour and decoupage the flowers, they will be cut out and glued onto the top of this, but then I will still have these lovely details, these ink spots and the word blooming there at the side and the little numbers and glow. And what I'm trying to remind myself is in March is that under the ground there are some beautiful flowers just waiting to come forth. And then I'm going to do him or her as well, and just stamp over the top. And it doesn't matter if I'm stamping over the top because this one's going to be decoupaged as well. I just want to sort of position her. I might actually should I do her there? Let me think. So I could do her there, but her wings will come off at the side, over the top, or right at the end. I think I'll actually put her there. I think actually if I'm doing a bigger project she would look lovely at either end so that the wing comes off the side, but bearing in mind that she's on my calendar I need to obviously make sure that she is going to be able to fit her wings on. Okay, so there she is there. What I've realised in doing that I think this may have just slightly moved a little bit. It doesn't seem as clear. So I don't know whether to stamp. I might stamp again on the back just to make sure, because obviously if she's being cut out it doesn't matter. The back of it will go onto the calendar. Okay, there we go. So let's just pop her or him there. Now it's probably because I might have moved my fingers a little bit when I moved it up. There. Okay, so I'm going to blot that, and I think that's come out a lot clearer. I think I probably moved. So what I'm going to do is, with the wings, what I'd like them to do is I'd like them to be white against the background. So one of the wings will go here and the other one will go here. Okay, so she will be like that, and I can move it in slightly if I want to because she will be decoupaged on the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in Versamark. So Versamark is like a water stamp pad, and then I'm going to put the white embossing powder over the top and then heat it so that it becomes really, really nice and bright and white on her wing. So I'm going to make sure that that's stamped beautifully by making sure that there's a lot on there, and you can see it shining. Okay, so we shall just pop that there. Okay, and put her wing like that. Let's have a look, and we shall put the white embossing powder over the top like that, and then I should just leave it like that for a second and take this one, oops, do exactly the same thing with the other Versamark. There we go. And do it on the other side. Now let's going to tap that off so I can. So can you see how it's gone onto the flowers as well? I'll show you how we're going to sort that out in a minute. Okay, so let's put her wing here. So the thing is with the embossing powder, it will stick to everything that you've stamped, and that is still wet. So ideally you would dry it so that the embossing powder does not stick to it. There we go. Tap the back. There, you can see the wings beautifully, but you can also see it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a paintbrush, and I'm just going to, as you can see, clear the powder from everywhere else, because if I don't, it's just going to get melted and stick. Be very careful there around the wing. You can take the rest off like so. There we go. Make sure that does all come off. Okay. Right. I think that's it. I mean, it's not too critical if it isn't, because I'm decoupaging these over the top, so it won't show. Okay, so put that back and put that to one side, and then what I have to do is make sure that I put everything back. So there we go. There we go, and make sure all the embossing powder is in here, and the lid's on so I don't spill it. Okay, put that to one side. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat my heat tool up, so you will hear it a bit, and it gets very hot. I'll heat it up a little bit, and hopefully you'll be able to see it moving, and it sort of dries the card as well. So let's have a look. So you should see it. There we go, going very white. Okay. And then turn it round. There we go, and you can see it turning and melting as it goes bright white. And I'm going to just heat from the back so it helps to flatten the paper out, or the card out. There we go, turn that off. So now you can see how her wings are beautiful and how they just really, really glow white. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put that to one side while I do something with these. So let's sit down for this bit. Okay, so I'm going to start with her, and what I'm going to use is I'm going to use some Let me see, what have we got? Pastel pencils maybe for her. So there we are. So I've got some pastel pencils here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to colour her slightly, very delicately, just making sure I fix it with my finger. There we go. And just do a little bit of smudging. There we go. So that she's a sort of a lovely pinkish colour. There we go. As I want her to be quite pale as well against the background. I can colour her in, just doing it fairly lightly and evenly at the moment. There we go. And she's going to be symbolising a flower waiting to bloom. There we go. Just waiting there to bloom. Maybe a nice daffodil or something like that. So I might do some yellow bits in her hair. Right, so now we're going to come in again a little bit deeper, a little bit darker around the edges, especially under here where her arms would create a shadow, and like this. Okay, there we go. I just want her to sort of like have a little bit of depth to her. Okay. It's trouble when you're concentrating on something like that, you just stop talking. So then it's boring for you guys watching. There we go. So as you can see, she's got a little bit more depth to her as we build up, and you can add some other colour as well if you wanted to do one. There we go, just down on her arm like that, and like that, where she will have a little bit of shadow. There we go. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, I think, to her hair. Little daffodil fairy, just waiting for her little daffodils to come up, little bulbs to come up from under the ground. So you can hear my dogs barking. My daughter's just come in. So there you go. Okay, so I can pretend that she's a little daffodil fairy just waiting, and there she is, a little bit of depth to her, just in chalk pastels. Okay, so I'm going to do the flowers now, but I'm going to do them in something different. So I've got some Ecoline pens here. These Ecoline pens, they are water-based, so I'm going to get a couple of greens, maybe a bit of yellow. Let's see, our yellows and greens here, and I'm going to get pink and maybe a red, just to sort of show up, orange maybe. Probably won't use all of these, but let's have a look. So I've got my water brush here, so when I can take the lid off, the water comes out, and yes, and it will blend everything beautifully. So I'm going to leave that off there. I'm not sure I'm going to use this one, but I might come come in to use this. So I'm going to just do the outside of my leaves in a nice pale green. There we go. Obviously doing this quite quick for the video. Okay. There we are. I'll lift it up when I've blended a little bit. Then I'm going to have a darker green. I'm going to put that in the middle of the leaves like so. Now I'm not an expert at this by any means. I just play around and see what works and what doesn't work, because it also depends on what paper you use. So I'm just going to go over that just so it blends in a little bit. Now I haven't been using these for very long, not years and years and years. So like I say, I'm just having a bit of a play, seeing what I can do, what they can do. Now this hasn't blended a huge amount, but, so you can see how it is blending. And then what I'm going to do is, let's see, what else have we got? We've got a carmine, and we've got a scarlet and a magenta. So let's have a look. Oh, and we've got an orange as well, so I might go for carmine and orange. So with the orange, I'm just going to go around the outside or the top and just do the edges or the ends of the petals. I'm not worried if I go over. Like I say, I'm not an expert. Oh, I've missed a leaf there, so I'll go back and do that. So there we go. Now I just sort of planned my design, but I didn't really check that I had the correct card. So this is a good card, but it's not very, what did I use? It's not very, it's not a watercolour card, so it will hold water, but I really need it to be a watercolour card for it to blend really well. So let's just see how we get on. Okay, and there, go around a bit darker where the edges are and underneath, so we might come back in with a darker one and we'll see how we get on. Okay, just doing this. I mean, if I wasn't being videoed, I would do this a lot neater, because obviously it's needs to be fairly quick, not too quick but fairly quick. Okay, I keep missing bits and bobs. And put the orange there as well. There we go. Let's see how we get on. So I'm just going to sort of like blur the edges so it just is blending quite well. And then I might come in and do a little bit of a yellow pastel maybe in the middle, just so it gives it that hint. There we go. And of course I've got to do the stems as well. I've got some watercolour which I'm practicing with, and I love playing with them and building up my images. There we go. So when I started doing craft, I did so much of one thing, and then I did the fatal thing. Well, I call it fatal, but started watching lots of YouTube videos, and then it was like, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do that. And if you are a crafter, you know what happens. You just do lots and lots and lots of things, and before you know it, you've got a room full of rubbish. As my husband looks at it. But no, a room full of treasures. That's how I look at it. A room full of treasures. So I need to make sure that's okay. So we stand up to make sure you can see that. So it's blended quite nicely. And as you can see, the card's buckling a little bit, but not too much because it's a really good card. Okay. So now I'm going to find a browns. Now I've got quite a dark brown in the background, so I might have a go at doing this all one colour and then come back and do the shade with the darker. There we go, like so, and then come back. And normally with stamps you can sort of like follow where they've got shade. Now the stamps that I use, these are from All and Create. Tracy Evans designs a lot of the stamps that I use. This particular one I think is by Bapasha, but I will double check, I'm not quite sure. So I should have really got everything out. I just keep my stamps in a drawer, like a deep plastic drawer, so it's very I don't have all of the information, but I will get it. There we go. So as you can see, it's quite bright, and then she will sit on them as we've built it up in our card. Okay, so let me have a quick look. So this is where I have all of my All and Create. Now this young lady or young man is here, and Olga. So this was designed by Olga for All and Create, and it is number 367, Take Flight. And there's some beautiful images on there, and I've done some multimedia with that and some 3D work. And this one, yes, it is by Bapasha. So Bapasha, and this is 324, Blooming Beauty. So I've used those two. And as you can see, I'm quite a fan, as my folder has got lots of the packaging in. Right, okay. So I'm going to just put my pens away and get out my scissors. So I normally use these, they're a curved pair. I inherited these, I don't know where from, I can't actually remember. So I'm going to start with her while this dries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut round both of these images, and what I will do is I will stop the video here, because a lot of people do like to watch people cut out, but a lot of people don't. So what I might do is cut this one out real time with you, and then cut the other one out, stop the video, cut it out and come back. There we go. Okay, and around her hair. So some of these images are quite easy to cut round, others are a little bit more complicated. And what I tend to do is I move my card, not my scissors, so there we go, around the shoulder. It's a very beautiful image. I love this image. And you will see, if you have a look at my other videos, I've done a Be My Valentine, which is a mixed media card with a bee on it, and that was Tracy Evans designed that. There we go. Oh, there's my lady from that I didn't stamp very well the first time round. There we go. And there she is, and she will go on here like that. And as you can see, she really does pop then with her wings. Okay, so I shall come back shortly, having hopefully cut this one out. Right, so I've cut it out, as you can see, from the debris. And what I've done is I've just kept this here because I know from my already stamped images on here where I've placed them, I know that she is going to be seated on top. Now, I'm not worried about covering up what I've done at all, because, well, it's just one of those things and I enjoyed doing it, so that's fine. Just going to double check that everything will be fine. There might just be a little bit here that I'll cut out. Now, sometimes, like with this bit here, I cut out down like that, and other times it's easier to come up from the bottom. So what I'm going to do to show you is I'm going to cut down there, because I think, and then come from underneath the image really carefully. There we go. And it's not quite ready to pull out. Very carefully and snip. There we go. Okay, because I think that little bit is going to show. Now what I could do is just sort of like make this a little bit brown around here, so if it did show up, then I'd be able to hide it a little bit in the background. So I've got a leaf here as well, because what I noticed on the wing is that that leaf will sit like that and the wing slightly over it, so I just wanted to reposition it so it wasn't. So I cut that off of the main picture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue onto the flower, making sure that, oops, I was going to say making sure I don't hit the camera like I did last time, but too late, I did it. So there we go. So I use a tacky glue. It is a strong craft glue. If I wanted to do it, I would do a 3D. Now, it's a calendar. Calendars don't have to be flat. Oh, and there I go again. It can be, can have some items on, like size or nest. So this is size or nest, which I could cut up and put underneath. That would show up really well. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that this time. So I'm just going to line it up with the image that I've got underneath, like so, and make sure it's all completely pressed down. There we go. Show off my nice nails that my daughter did for me. There we are. There we go. Okay. So there it is on our background. Got a little bit of wiggle room, wiggle time. I'm just making sure that it's all pressed down, and to make doubly sure, press from the back. Look at the state of this card on the back from my greying. There we go. You won't see that. Okay. There, and I've got my little leaf. Whoops. Just a little bit of glue there, move it around, there we go. So there we go, I can just pop it on here, not worry too much, move it down so that the image is actually on the, just under the wing. Okay, now what you could do with this is that you could mount it on some foam pads or 3D gel, but it's completely up to the creator what they do. So I'm going to put a lot of glue on instead. So my 3D gel is around somewhere. There we go. So I'm just going to make sure that she is positioned beautifully. There we go. Let's put my lid on the glue. So what I did was I made sure that the wings were stamped and embossed first. That's so they appear from behind her, because after all a fairy does have her wings on her back. If I'd have waited and done it now, they would be on top of her shoulders, and that's not what I wanted. Okay, there we go, making sure that she's all stuck. Let's move this through round. Okay, now I've got a box of things that when I'm not sure of what I want to do, I have a box where I just cut out, maybe decorate a few things, a bug, some little scraps that I had, some bugs, a light bulb or two. So lots of things here that I stamped and that I fussy cut. You know, like when I'm not wanting to do a lot, but I do want to do a bit, so I keep them there so that I can use them. And this is one of those things that I have. So this was off of a stamp, and it was in some wording and imagery, and I just cut it out of the actual stamp itself and I edged it in pink. That was for another project, and because this sort of like is here and is floating a little bit, I want to see the numbers, so I'm going to put that just at the edge there so it looks like the plant is coming out. So I'm going to glue that on as well. Like I say, you could put a 3D gel on it, but for speed I'm just going to do this, make sure it's straight. There we go, and we have a bloom and grow. So that actually was what inspired me. Just those three little words, and is a very little word, just those words there, they were enough to inspire me to do this project. So let's put that to one side and get my calendar. So like I say, we did January, I did February, and now March is going to go there to remind me that we've got lots to look forward to, that we've got some beautiful flowers and plants just waiting under the ground to bloom and grow, or grow and bloom. Let's see if that's straight, and give it a good press. There we go. What's that on it? It's a little mark. I'll see if I can get a rubber to it later. Okay, and there she is, absolutely gorgeous. Her wings just sparkle. Let's just move that over like that. There she is. Beautiful. I'm really pleased with her. I love this background signifying the dirt under the ground, and there she is. Daffodil possibly, roses, tulips, whatever you like. This just feels gorgeous and gives a nice sparkle. You can see that. Just gorgeous. So there she is, waiting to bloom and grow in March. Right, well, I'm going to look forward to making April's. I'm going to put my thinking cap on. If you've got anything that you think a theme for April, we've got Easter and spring lambs and all sorts of things. Don't want anything really cartoony, but if you've got any ideas, pop it in the comments. And please click and subscribe. We've got so much more to do. There's April's all blank and ready, and there she is, just waiting to bloom and grow. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you next time. Okay, take care and keep safe. Bye for now.